Let's not.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. It is Monday, January 12th, 2014. And this
It's
is
not streaming.
It's 2015.
It's 2015. You know what? We're just going to have to start over. Yes,
Hang on 1 second till the stream goes live because it takes a minute.
Okay.
I'll tell you when it goes.
How do you tell?
We're recording, but it's not actually. I'm watching the page where the embed is.
Okay.
And you are live.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. For this retake of our introduction, I'll say 2015. This is Wes Fryer on January 12th, 2015, with a very unusual live event for K12 Online. And we're just going to go around the horn to say hello from where we're tuning in from. We are the organizers and conveners of the K12 Online Conference, talking tonight about volunteer opportunities. So I'll pass the baton north to Montreal.
Hi, I'm Susan Van Gelder from Montreal. And now to Peggy.
And hello, everyone. It's great to be here with all of you. And I'm Peggy George, and I'm joining you from Phoenix, Arizona.
Hi there, everyone. I'm Karen Fassenpower, and I am here in Arizona also. Welcome, everyone.
And Karen is screen sharing our documents tonight, so that's why you didn't see her there. So we hope we'll get some folks that are going to be joining. It looks like we have a couple folks that have joined on, and we're going to be talking about volunteer opportunities for the K12 Online Conference. And so we're going to try and be high-tech and have Karen screen sharing her copies of our slides, and we invite you to go ahead and join in on our Titan pad, and we'll talk a little bit about that as far as engaging. But our theme tonight and our purpose for gathering is really to talk about ways to help for the K12 Online Conference. K12 Online has been an online conference for 9 years. This is going to be our 10th year, and there are many, many ways to get involved, and what we hope to do tonight is to not only share those, but get you to volunteer to help out in several different capacities. So that is our purpose, and whether you're tuning in live or you're going to be catching this on the archive, K12 Online is a fantastic, transformative learning experience that is global and is continuing, and it's one of the best the best experiences. In fact, this is off script, but just a couple sentences. Why do you give your time to K12 Online? And we're going to pass this up in the same order. I'll go first since I'm throwing this question at everyone. I would say that K12 Online has changed my professional practice as a teacher more than any other activity that I've ever been involved in, including my doctorate. So that would be why I am so passionate about it. Susan, how about you?
Well, I started watching sessions from K12 Online in 2006, and it's just been the most amazing professional development, and it gave me an opportunity to connect with other educators. So that's really why I volunteer for K12 Online.
How about you, Peggy?
I actually began my ventures into Web 2.0 and connected learning with the K12 Online Conference. It was through those first shows back in 2005, 2006 that I started sharing the presentations with my university students at Arizona State, and I was hooked. I saved all of the recordings, watched them over and over, continued to share them, and have been so enthusiastic about the kind of learning and the kind of connections that can happen through an asynchronous conference that I have been hooked ever since, and am thrilled to be one of the helpers and organizers for the conference.
All right. How about you, Karen?
I am really a big proponent of teacher voice and getting all of our voices out there. And I think the most authentic learning we often do in community with each other is often much more powerful than sort of other kinds of professional development. And I started, I was a viewer of K12 Online for a long time, and then 3 years ago I was a presenter and had such a good experience with that that I have expanded my volunteer responsibilities with the conference, and it's really been an enriching experience for me.
All right. Well, awesome. Well, actually, I think I'm going to toss this next slide back to you, Karen, because we do have a link that if you're not viewing our Hangout on, we encourage you to do. I'll give my little bit of the introduction about this, and then you can join in a little bit more. Basically, I think we're doing what Teachers Teaching Teachers and others on EdTech Talk have done with an embedded Etherpad, which is on TitanPad, that allows for live chat, both the creation of a document on the left and then chat on the right, and then the video on the top. Karen, anything to add as far as what people should do as far as their participation within that?
I'll just say that this document will continue to be up, so if you're watching the archive of this, and especially if you're watching on YouTube, if you go to the K12 Online Conference site, k12onlineconference.org /2015 volunteer-info, and you'll see that URL on this slide. There is that document on the left where you can put questions or especially sign up for things that you think you might be interested in volunteering in, and this is not a commitment. This is more, I think I might be interested, or I want more information. And if you put your name and email address there, and for those of you that are watching live, if you put your questions in the chat on the right, we will address those during this session.
Awesome. And we've got lots of helpers helping us take a look at that kind of stuff, so those of us talking won't have to necessarily field all those questions, giving voice to those. So as a means of an outline, we're going to talk a little bit about the history of K12 Online, an overview of the conference, talk a little bit about the schedule and timeline for 2015, which we are starting earlier than ever this year, discuss an advisory panel that we're hoping to start this year, sort of following in the footsteps of what Classroom 2.0 Live that Peggy's very involved with, and I help a little bit with, that's done a great job getting feedback. And then we'll talk about marketing, which is probably, there's a lot of needs that we have for the conference, but probably our biggest need, and different ways in which we want to move marketing forward. In addition, if we can go to the next slide, we're going to talk about the idea of an engagement coordinator and some things that we've done in the past, and then some ideas maybe with Twitter chats and some other things that we might be able to do. And then we're going to shift gears to talk a little bit about professional development. We've gone some different directions with professional development, and K12 Online is just such, because it is completely open and free and recorded with all of the videos available, to be used, in district professional development, personal professional development. Anyway, explore those ideas, and then lastly talk about live events, post-conference logistics, other ideas, and then some Q&A. So we're hoping to wrap this up within an hour, and hopefully we'll be leaving some time for Q&A. And as Karen said, if you'll go ahead and put those into the TitanPad or the Etherpad that's there on the page, that'll be great, and we'll give those questions voice for you. So first off, let's talk a little bit about history, because people have gone to K12 Online or intersected with it at different times, and we do go back to 2006. This is actually a picture in the apartment of Jeff Udek when he was in Shanghai, China, and let's see. Should I go back to myself? I see Karen giving me a text, so yeah, I think we're all right. And they did what they called a LAN party, which was a live event. But K12 Online has historically been almost exclusively an asynchronous event, and it started off with conversations between Darren Kropotwa and Cheryl Nussbaum Beach, and eventually brought in Dean Sharesky, and I came along as an organizer. And the essential idea was, hey, the internet is here. We could have a conference in which people could post presentations, and then we could gather around virtually and talk about them. And we really wouldn't have to have much in the way of money or finances. We just need a website, and we need somebody able to host video. So Will Richardson was in on those initial conversations as well. And we ended up getting the University of William and Mary to host files for us, and EduBlogs out of Australia generously hosted. Actually, until this year, we just finally transitioned off of their servers, but hosted our blog on WordPress. And except for I think maybe 1 year, we've been in the month of October, and we've had about 40 presentations every year, sometimes more, sometimes maybe a little bit less. I think it's been right around 40. Starting off with a keynote address and the first week, which we call the pre-conference, and then in the following 2 weeks, having about 20 presentations per week. So that was kind of the start of the conference. We've had some live events, but it really hasn't been a very live conference, and so that really differentiates us from other conferences. And we're continuing to have 4 strands planned for an October conference, be putting out our call for proposals by the summer, but this time actually we're hoping to do it earlier in the spring, and invite educators interested in innovative strategies for engaging students to share a presentation which is approximately 20 minutes long, and including notes and other resources that folks can connect to during and following your presentation. So our core values, it was an important document that we created, and we really are passionate about being free, open, and non-commercial. We focus on learning tools and concepts, but they aren't vendor specific, and we don't allow any vendor marketing or vendor specific promotions. People talk about tools, of course, but we're a non-commercial conference. We try to be as accessible as possible. We've experimented in different years doing some things in some different languages and Spanish. We really never required a registration. There's never a cost. There never will be a cost. And it's really the kind of thing where the content is there, and we have an idea about the impact, but we don't know unless somebody tells us or lets us know what that full extent of the impact has been. So that's a little bit about kind of the history of the conference and the background. And I'd like to now turn things over to Karen, who is going to talk about our marketing. And I made Karen try to share mine. We'll see if I can bring my slide up. I'll try to share my slide so folks can take a look at you, unless you really just want your slide to be up there.
No, either way, I'm good.
Okay, we'll just go with your slide.
So one of the areas that we are looking for help with for this year's conference is marketing, and there really are just a lot of marketing activities that need to be done, and it's really an important area because it attracts people to view the sessions that we do, and that's what this is all about, is getting the content out as widely as possible. So I'm going to just talk about a few of the marketing areas, but we are also looking for any other suggestions or help. So the conference does happen during Connected Educator Month, and I'm sure most of you are familiar with Connected Educator Month in October. It is just a celebration of connected professional development and connecting educators to each other. So we have been a partner with Connected Educator Month, and some of the marketing tie-ins to that would be posting the different sessions for K12 Online. It's a 2-week conference, and we have sessions going every day, so posting those to the Connected Educator Month calendar, which has drawn a lot of people to the conference, particularly in the last year as Connected Educator Month has really gotten ramped up, and then possibly exploring other partnership opportunities with Connected Educator Month. Another area of marketing that's been very successful for us, but we'd like to do even more with, is social media. And we do have an account on Twitter. If you don't follow us, it's at K12 Online. We also have a Google Plus community and a Facebook page. So populating those areas with information about the conference, thinking about new ways to use social media would all be volunteer opportunities with K12 Online. We do a press release each year about the conference, and that's really one of the main ways we get connected into mainstream media, so helping us to draft that press release. We have a list of media outlets that we send that to, but we're always looking for new opportunities and new ways to get the word out. And I think this is an area where we really could beef up our efforts, even contacting some key journalists and getting some articles placed about K12 Online, because it is such a unique thing, and we would love to see more mainstream media coverage of it. So those are a few of the marketing opportunities, but there are many more. We could do things like create flyers that could be printed out to share at school sites, or just really, we're looking for brainstorming ideas as well as help executing some of the things we're already doing. So if you are interested in helping out with marketing, please sign up on the Titan Pad. And this is an area where we're looking for someone to lead a sort of committee on marketing, but we're also looking for people to be on the committee and help with the activities. So whatever your interest is, just put your name and your email address. And again, it's not a commitment, but we would love to get more. And so I see a question that's come in the chat about, is there a presence at ISTE? And we have done some things at ISTE in the past, but I think that is a great opportunity to expand. So if that is something you're interested in, Sheila, we would love help with that, and anybody else. So please do.
That's been one of our goals in the past, has been to have our call for proposals out, prior to ISTE, with the idea of distributing information about that. We did a session maybe 4 or 5 years ago about K12. I don't know if we've submitted actually since then to do a session. We probably should. I don't think we have, but it's a great opportunity definitely to network and to let people know about the conference. Probably especially just in the Bloggers Cafe and other places, and we very much want the ideas that folks want to go with. So this is a conference that has good history and has a lot of continuity, but there's also a lot of opportunities for it to grow and go in directions that volunteers want to take it.
Great. So in addition to marketing the actual conference and the sessions, we are also looking for help with recruiting speakers, which is really another aspect of marketing, but it's more on the front end of the conference. So what this would involve is getting the word out about our conference strands, helping spread that as widely as possible, and then also suggesting speakers that you might know, teachers, students, a wide variety of people that would be great speakers that you would like to see in K12 Online. And then typically what we do, as well as putting out the call for proposals just on a broad, open, public basis, we also reach out to people that we would love to see present at the conference. And so we are looking for help with that.
And I might just toss in one other thing. As an organizer, many times what things come down to with K12 is personal invitation. So that's why, like Karen said, whether you don't have to volunteer to be the whole coordinator of all this. Really having multiple people involved who just have seen other presenters, know other folks, have recommendations, and then might be able to extend a personal invitation. Personal invitations are key.
Mm-hmm. So another area that we are looking for volunteer help with is to help encourage engagement around the K12 online sessions. And our sessions are posted, and they're posted to our blog, and people can write comments either there or on YouTube. But we think there are a lot of other opportunities to engage more around the session content, and that's input that we've gotten from participants as well, is that they would like to see more of those engagement opportunities. But obviously that's something that we need help with fostering and setting up. So some examples of what that might entail: it could be setting up things like Vialogs. And if you're not familiar with Vialog, it's a way to put a YouTube video and then have time-coded but asynchronous comments as a discussion going along beside it, so that one of the distinctions of K12 Online is it is asynchronous, so everybody doesn't have to watch at the same time. The videos are posted. What Vialogs does is it lets everyone post comments and talk to each other, but they don't have to all be on at the same time. So that might be one engagement opportunity. Another might be something with voice threads. There could be Twitter chats that are more synchronous but around a session. So maybe we take a keynote session and say we're going to do at a certain time a Twitter chat so people have an opportunity in a group to discuss that. And there are probably many more ideas for engagement. So we're looking for ideas as well as someone to sort of take one of those and say, okay, I'd like to do Vialogs. And with all of these different volunteer tasks, we're really flexible in terms of how you volunteer. So if you want to, if you have ideas or if you have sort of time limitations, we all have time limitations, but if you want to say, I want to do something that's a one-time event or I want to do something that's an hour a week, all things are possible. So let us know sort of what your interest is, and I think we can find ways to accommodate the many talents within constraints that you have. And I think with that, if there's nothing to add, I'm going to turn it over to Peggy to talk about professional development.
Wow, this is just flying along. I'm excited to share with you about professional development because that really is what the conference is all about. And it gives educators, teachers, administrators, anyone who's interested, an opportunity to choose what it is they want to learn about and when they want to learn it. Because obviously, as you know, they can tune into those shows every day as they come out or any time after they're published. So over the years, we've done a number of different things with professional development, trying to encourage people to use the videos in lots of different ways. And I'll talk briefly about some of the ways those are being used in a moment. But we have an entire segment on our website, and I added the link at the bottom of the Titan Pad that talks about professional development. And when we first began really focusing on this, we developed some strategies for ways that people could get professional development certificates. And we wanted it to be more than just saying, I watched the video, but we wanted them to demonstrate something they learned from watching the video, whether it was creating a new product or sharing that video with some colleagues and maybe writing a blog post about it. There were many things that they could do as a result of their participation. So instead of just an hour for the professional development credit, we were offering 2 hours. And all they had to do was choose one of those ways to share what they had learned, and then they would get their certificate. One of the reasons I especially want to emphasize this is that regardless of how many people choose to do that option for the conference, it is an excellent model for professional development in your own schools and districts. So you could actually use the kinds of forms that we created and the criteria that we developed, and even the examples that suggest many different ways that they could demonstrate what they learned. And all of those could become something that you could do in your district. I think on the next slide, I'm not quite sure which slide we're showing right now. Let's go on to the next slide, Wes. And some of the ways that I have heard about, and many of you may have even additional ways that you could share with us, possibly on the Titan Pad, but I know I personally, and colleagues of mine have started using the K12 online videos as their own district professional development. In Madison District, Kim Thomas in the Phoenix area selects a number of the videos, and she goes through and previews every single one of them every year, and she may select up to 20 of them and puts them on a wiki for the teachers in her district. They can choose which of those presentations they want to watch and what they want to do to follow up for their own district credit. And in fact, over the last couple of years, they were actually using those credits to earn technology for their classroom. So there really are a lot of different ways. Wes mentioned the LAN parties that Jeff Utek introduced us to way back in the beginning. And that was such an awesome way to provide professional development. We started stealing that idea immediately after that conference. And the very next year, we held a LAN party where we watched a presentation together. And it happened to be one on global projects that Kim Cafino and Jen Wagner did. And we watched it together, and then we Skyped both of them into our room and had a great conversation with them about ways to develop global projects in our classrooms. And that's another awesome way. And you all know that the people that participate in the K12 Online Conference are eager to share both what they know and what they'd like to know. And so it's a wonderful way to build your PLN and develop connections that you can use for your own professional development. So if you have any questions at all about that, or if you have ideas to share, we don't really have a committee for professional development because it's pretty much in place, but we would love to hear about ways that you're using the K12 Online Conference for your own school, district, or personal professional growth. And we'd like to be able to feature some of those on our website. So feel free to share those throughout the year and on the Titan Pad for sure.
Awesome. Well, we've got some great chat comments going in the Titan Pad, and as a means of station identification, if you've been joining us, lately, we do have on our K12onlineconference.org website page that does have a Titan Pad, which is an Etherpad embedded below. So, and if you're seeing this after the fact asynchronously, check in the YouTube description. We'll include a link there so that you can go back and take a look at the document that we've created, and that'll be a living document that'll continue. So thank you so much, Peggy, and we're going to pass the mic up north. But Susan, you have to tell us your temperature, although you may not be able to do a centigrade to Fahrenheit conversion on the fly. If not, that's okay. But we never get any sympathy. We've got Arizonans here and Oklahomans. Susan always takes the cake for weather. So up to Susan to tell us about not just Montreal weather, but live events.
Well, actually, I have to tell you a story, Wes. Years ago, we did a project with people way up north in Quebec, and for the month of February, we compared weather. And when I say way up north, I'm talking north of Hudson Bay. And our kids were shocked one day to find out it was warmer there than it was than it was in Montreal. So today it's only it was about -2 Celsius, which is about 30, 28 thereabouts. But tonight is going down to -21 Celsius, and I'll let you figure that out. Now to live events. We've tried a number of things in the past. In fact, the first year that I started watching K12 Online was 2006, and you won't believe what was done, but it was a 24-hour When Night Falls, and it was held in Tapped In, which I don't think exists anymore. but you could join at any point, day or night, and there was always a host there who would monitor all the comments, give ideas, and it was a way for people to connect, which was actually one of the first ways that I connected with K12 Online. In the next few years, we held live events in Illuminate. We did a live, we called them the fireside chats, and the keynote of the whole conference would do a fireside chat, and some of the years we had a fireside chat for week 1 and a separate one for week 2, where any of the presenters who could be available would come, and it was just a little discussion of some of the things that had gone on in the week. Sheila mentioned in the chat, we then went on to do something called the K12 Online Echo, where once a month, I think, we would stream one of the sessions and give people an opportunity. The presenter would be there as well, and we'd give people an opportunity to ask questions, to discuss the presentation. And that worked for a while, but you know, we always have to change and try and update and be cutting edge with the times. Those took place thanks to EdTech Talk. So what about the future? What do we want to do for live events? I know a couple of people had mentioned the possibility of Twitter chats, which I think is a great idea. Do we want to resurrect sort of an echo kind of thing where later in the year we sort of highlight a session and have conversation around that session? We're open to all kinds of things because we want this conference to reflect the needs of the people who are participating. So it would be really great to come up with new ideas. I see Chris has asked if we have the sessions already set up. We have all the past sessions available, but for 2015 we still have to put out a call for proposal, etc. So that's been what our live events have been, and we're really open to lots of new ideas in order to get more talk around the ideas presented in the conference.
Well, thank you very much. And actually, Chris's question reminds me that I didn't do too good of a job talking initially as far as our schedule and our timeline. So I'll do that here after you wrap up with logistic stuff. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, that's okay. The last piece that we would love to have some help with, or the last piece I'm going to talk about, is post-conference logistics, helping to create a form for an evaluation, having a look at the form, at the results, also publicizing the fact that there is this evaluation piece. That's one big difference when you have an asynchronous conference. We don't have the people in front of us to say, please fill in the evaluation, or even at the end of a session the way they're able to do with the conferences that Steve Hargadon has been involved in. So we need help not only getting the evaluation ready, but getting people to actually fill it in and then analyzing the results. So that's another big one post-conference, and that would be great. And now to you, Wes.
Okay, all right, very good. So there are some other ideas that we've talked about, and if we can go to the next slide, Karen. Some of those could involve an app. You know, we have, well, we haven't mentioned a couple important things. Presentations, maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, we changed so that, except for keynotes, they're all 20 minutes or less. And that sort of follows along with TED Talks and the idea that a 20-minute presentation is a more digestible, I guess, bite of professional development that people are going to be more likely to see more of than if all of them were, say, an hour long. We also, you know, are web-based, and we've moved to YouTube. So I think this is maybe our second year to be on YouTube, and not all of our presentations have migrated. That's actually another, you know, committee opportunity if you'd like to help out with that. because our desire is to go ahead and migrate all of our presentations. When YouTube wasn't available, or I don't know, not many people were on YouTube in 2006, and I think that's when Google bought them. But they changed their terms of service and what's possible a few years ago, where now they could exceed. Well, really, they can be they can be very long. I think they couldn't be longer than maybe 15 minutes initially. So anyway, we've got all of our keynotes from the past years. And then we've got quite a few of those presentations, but we want to eventually migrate all of those. And, we're web-based, but should we have an app? Well, we do have, in large part, due to the hard work of Peggy, all our presentations on iTunes U. And, of course, that's beneficial for anyone who has an iPhone or an iPad or an iPod Touch, but that doesn't help our Android-using friends and participants. And so anyway, there are some other ideas that we've kicked around and we've talked about. Some of those have been mentioned. I'll state for the record that I hope in 2015 to host a LAN party at my house. It's one of those things we've talked about, we've seen other people do, and why are we not doing this ourselves? Just inviting some folks over, with laptops to watch, maybe one of the keynotes together, and then, seeing some other presentations and having some face-to-face discussion. So hopefully you're getting the idea, if you didn't already know that we're very open to ideas and suggestions, and we want, to hear, your ideas, and then also would love to have you participate in helping, make some of these things possible and making them happen. And one of those ways certainly could just be by sharing and amplifying, what's being done, some of those ideas, especially with in-district use of K12 Online. So we're going to turn to Q&A, but before we do that, I want to kind of talk a little bit as far as our schedule of the year and how things are going, and then invite you to post your questions into our Titan Pad that we have, and here are your ideas. Those could be things that you'd like to see happen with the conference, and you'd like us to talk about, or and discuss, or really anything that you'd like to ask. I see that Chris C is talking about being a presenter, so let me just briefly tell you kind of what the year looks like, and in terms of a timeline, and then we'll see what other questions we've got. Basically, and a lot of this has been my fault, but we haven't gotten started nearly as early as we are this year, and so about ISTE time, which is at the end of June, we have tended to have our call for proposals put out, and that's been a Google form that folks have filled out. And before that time, that means that as organizers, we have picked a theme, and we've picked 4 strands, and sometimes, but not always, we will identify keynote speakers, both for the pre-conference keynote presentation as well as for each individual strand before that call for proposals. That hasn't always happened, but that is our hope this year. And so part of what will happen with our timeline is that we hope our advisory panel and folks will meet and brainstorm, help share ideas about what our strands could be, what our theme could be. And then earlier in the spring, we'll go ahead and have that call for proposals that will be out. The presentations themselves, we ask them to be done 2 weeks before they go live. We kind of work backwards. So our conference main weeks are the last 2 weeks of October, and so that means that in early October, hopefully, although we could tell you stories about some presentations that have come in right at the last minute and caused things to be a little exciting. Those get turned in generally by sending them as a file to the convener, and then those are uploaded to our channel. We used Blip TV and .sub for a while. Blip does not host content like we have anymore, and we do have stuff that's still up on .sub. But anyway, that content gets published, and I think back to when Dr. Tim Tyson was presenting for us, and we had probably the longest series of you must do's for presenters, as far as all these things that you had to publish, and it was kind of a nightmare. So we really try to streamline that process, and the convener that is working that particular strand, directly works with those approximately 10 people who are presenting to help, get questions answered and things like that, and help help those folks present and get that submitted. So when do notifications happen? I don't know, Susan. Can you generalize about what time have we usually done that? Has that been about August or September, or she's looking it up?
Well, we try to notify people by the end of August to give them plenty of time to get their presentations ready. But the other issue is we always try to find presenters as well as put out a call. So if we're looking for presenters, they can often be notified earlier so that they have even more time. Because one of the things we talked about was for anyone who wants to involve student voices, it would be the sooner they know, they could even be gathering some video data before the school year ends in order to then do their presentation or prepare the rest later.
Absolutely, and we really have never done that where we've been able to notify folks that early. So that's something we're gonna try for. But each year, and if you want to join us as a committee member or chair, you'll get even more insight into this. It really does come down to a lot of personal invitations, and especially in certain strands. Susan mentioned experimenting, and we do try to be a little bit on the bleeding edge of some things, and so we change some things and keep other things constant with the conference. But one of the things we usually have changed is that we'll have some kind of a strand that'll be a little experimental. And so, one year we had a research strand. And if you don't know this already, university professors are not really focused on, creating free presentations for online conferences that aren't associated with journals and things like that. So that was challenging to get those, but we had some great presentations. Student voice is really something that I think we're all passionate about, and it is challenging, possibly in part because of our schedule, but for other reasons too, to get students as presenters or to include those students. And so we've had a student voices strand previously. The last couple years, we've encouraged people to include students and student perspectives and voices in their presentations. What questions do we have, and other kinds of ideas? Those of you who have been kind of monitoring the back channel a little better than I have.
So we've had a few questions about just what's involved in being a presenter for K12 Online. So we've talked about the call for proposals going out and the strands. And one thing I will say is our strands tend to be, at least one or two tend to be general enough that if you have a topic related to education that you're passionate about, you can probably find a place for it in one of our strands. So if you are thinking ahead, I've seen a lot of good comments in the chat about session ideas. Hold on to those, and we would love to see you submit them, and they will fit somewhere into our conference. In terms of presenting for the conference, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, again, it is asynchronous and it's video. So our presenters prepare a 20-minute long video in advance of the conference, and we ask for those videos to be submitted to us 2 weeks before your strand goes live. So the conference is 2 weeks long, and we have 2 strands going each week, and so you'll have a lot of emails from strand conveners about due dates and things like that. But generally speaking, the videos are due to us in early October, so that gives you an idea. And you submit that 20-minute video. Another requirement for this conference is we do want all of our videos to be licensed openly with a Creative Commons, and we use the CC BY license. And what that allows for is free and open sharing of these sessions. So for example, a school could, or a teacher, or anyone really, could download a video and publish it on their own website, or even edit it or remix it. And because of that Creative Commons license, we do require that all of the content in our presenters video is either originally produced by them, so that they're willing to license it under Creative Commons, or that it is otherwise openly licensed content. So if you put music in your video, we'd like it to be CC licensed so that the whole thing can have a CC license rather than content. And if anyone has questions about that, certainly feel free to contact us. But that's kind of a brief overview of what's involved in being a presenter for K12 Online. And like we said, we are always looking for more student voices. So in whole or in part for a session, that's a really important part of our conference.
That is an awesome overview, Karen, and I want to do a shout out to Dr. Monty Tatum because I wasn't trying to do a dig on university professors, but there are a lot of university there are a group of university professors very interested in pre-service teacher education, technology integration. It's the long tail world, right? It's, we've got our ability to connect with different niches and different small groups, and so we certainly have had and continue to have interest in from university professors, especially those interested in pre-service teacher education and educational technology. One of the things that, I don't know, might be a little scary sometimes to ask some of our presenters, like when Dean Sharesky did the keynote, I mean, didn't he say he spent like 40 hours or something? It was kind of scary. So we don't want to scare people off, and you don't have to. I think Jason Neiffer, somebody else too, he said he just had to publish it. It was going to be good enough. It sounds like it may not be 20 minutes. We can do this, and as teachers, you teach all the time, but it's a challenge putting it together. And so time-wise, screencasting tools have evolved so far in the time since we started the conference in 2006. I remember the second year, David Warlick gave our pre-conference keynote, the first 2 years of the conference. I'll always remember his keynote of the rails and going, to the railroad and talking about the first graders all in line, going the same direction. It reminds me of what we've heard of the early days of theater, of motion pictures, where they started filming in the theater, the live, and then they realized, oh, we can go other places, we can do special effects. So there's all kinds of possibilities, and I really am one of those folks passionate about pre-service teacher education and think that K12 Online is the perfect professional development model to be introducing teachers to at the beginning of their careers, at any point in their career. So anyway, that's a shout out to Monty and an encouragement to others who are wanting to connect, because that's something else that's really defined the conference, I think, is through comments on the blogs, but now through social media. The echoes were just great as a chance to really have some in-depth conversations with folks. It's much more personal than any other conference that I've been a part of. Mm-hmm. What other questions do we have? Peggy, anything you want to give voice to? Or Karen, go ahead.
We did have a question about who is the audience for the conference, and I would say our main audience is K12 teachers, also administrators, and really anyone who works in K12. And then we have quite a sizable pre-service and higher ed audience as well.
Right. Steve K posted a question about topics and would strategies to divert textbook monies into online resources. We haven't had something that was really OER specific or instructional material specific. We are interested in what strand suggestions folks have. As I think Susan or Karen mentioned, we've usually had a beginner strand and an intermediate strand. We've had a leadership one. We've called it leading the change, and was a couple. I don't know. We've gotten better and better about more finely honing those descriptions as far as being short. But I think we've talked about library media specialists. Sometimes presentations do get moved. I think Monty mentioned that in the chat. Sometimes that has to do with also the number of presentations that we get in a particular category. But it is definitely K12 oriented, and we want to be international, and we have been. We've had participation from teachers in New Zealand and Australia. We had a keynote speaker from. Was he from Brazil? I should know this, right? I should know this before saying it. From South America, which obviously is not specific enough. I'm thinking that he was from Chile. I'm going to have to go back and look now. Jose would know the answer if he was on here. But yeah, we've had lots of international teachers from East Asia. So that's another important part is encouraging the participation of teachers from around the world. We are English, so that's something that we've dabbled with before, but it's something that if you looked at the EduBlog Awards this year, it was actually kind of interesting how some of those were. It was challenging to read those, and education's happening globally, obviously, in all kinds of languages, but we haven't gone down the path of Google Translator and providing things in all languages.
So we're having some discussions in the chat about student voice and sort of what that means or how it might be brought into the conference, and it's something that you can hear we feel really passionately about, and we've tried different things in the past. We've tried having a strand that was around student voice, and then we've also tried just encouraging there to be some student voice in really all of the sessions. And I think we're flexible on what that means, and we're also looking for ideas to encourage more student voice. And Peggy said it's often hard to get students to want to do a whole session. We have had students who've done whole sessions in the past, but another idea might be that some of you might want to propose a session that might be, include a lot of student voice, but that you would be sort of the aggregator and bring that together. And we did have a very nice session like that, I think from last year, from Harry Brake, who his session was sort of a edited version where he did an introduction and he sort of staged it, but most of it was student presentations. And someone talked about doing a student showcase, and it just made me think one thing we might do, if someone would be interested in taking the lead on that presentation, which would involve helping coordinate and do some kind of intro and probably editing together the clips, we could help solicit submissions from across the country or even the world of student showcase video. So you wouldn't have to be finding all of this, or it wouldn't be limited to just the students you work with, but you would be coordinating it. So if anybody's interested in that, get in touch with us. I think that would be great. And our experience in this and in other professional development sessions is that student voice just enriches all of our learning so much, and it brings up things we hadn't thought of, and obviously it's a good experience hopefully for the students participating as well.
We had a question from Yamilet about, and welcome Yamilet, good to have you join us, long time no connect, about transcripts. And yes. I put a link in the chat to, I think I tried to, there it is, to the .sub. Oh, I guess it doesn't let me paste links. Well, that's why it was taken out. Yeah. .sub is a website, pretty interesting, and I guess it's still going. It's not offline, and then they haven't deleted our content like Blip did. But it would allow you to watch videos with subtitles in your language, and so the years we were doing that, we got the closest to captioning, and so it just depended on the presentations, the keynotes that were in Spanish. We did Keynote. We did transcribe, and it was varied. So, accessibility is very important, and we had a committee for that, early on. A lot of this depends on the passion of individuals and committee members, and so if you have an interest and a passion in, for accessibility, then that could be a great place to plug in. And it's not the kind of thing you have to do all the work either, because as we're soliciting more volunteers and getting others on board, helping sort of shepherd and facilitate the work of a group like that would be great. And that could be things that, probably look at the 2015 conference, but, it could be something with the automation tools that Google has, and there's a lot of different possibilities now that new web tools open up for that. And it's certainly one of our goals to be as open and as accessible as possible.
And I actually just added a category to that on the TitanPad. I am very passionate about accessibility, and I would love to see us have transcripts. And actually, YouTube's transcription tool is pretty good. I recently did hours of sessions, and it takes time to do, but if someone is interested in volunteering to do even 1 or 2 sessions, maybe it's something we could tackle over time and get the keynotes maybe transcribed this year. And I will do a couple sessions if some other people are interested in getting into that. So I did add that. And we lost the Titan Pad for just a minute. If you're not able to type, if you just reload, it's back. So there's a question about looking at the time frames and compiling student videos. Would that be 2 weeks before the conference? So 2 weeks before the conference is when we have to have, the conference, have to have the final edited 20-minute video. But you could start working on that now, really. And I would say if somebody's really excited about starting on a video even before we've finalized our call for proposals or accepted sessions, if you email us and give us your idea, I think I don't have a concern that you'll be doing work that won't be used. So if you are interested in that, you'll have a lot of time. Generally, when we do a sort of final notification of proposals being accepted is in August. And we sometimes do that on a rolling basis depending on what's turning in, but you would have certainly the whole summer to get that done.
And we do say no, but to be clear, the majority of no's we've had over the years have been vendor related. So, there are some others, but this is part of the reason we'd like to increase marketing too. I mean, we're not in a situation where we get 300 proposals for 40 slots. In particular strands, we really do end up each year usually needing to reach out and beat the bushes and personally invite folks. Of course, we're paying so much for these presentations. I mean, we're all busy people, but yes, I think that's spot on what Karen said. If you've got an idea, contact us and let us know, and it certainly could be something that you could work on early.
There's also a question about project management in terms of coordinating the conference, and one of the roles that we haven't really talked about is we do have strand conveners. So each of our strand, and most of us on this call are strand conveners. Each of our strands has someone who sort of spearheads that, and those are in place and/or typically people who've worked with the conference already in the past, because it's a big role and there's a lot of history. But we certainly are looking for people to help provide backup in that capacity. We are looking for people to serve other tasks and look toward that in the future. And there's also some advisory panel responsibilities that have more flexibility. So if there's something specific in terms of project management that you might be interested in, let us know, and we are happy to. There's lots of work to be done, so I think even beyond the categories that we've outlined, if there's something that you think, oh, this is something that needs to be done, just holler out, because we are looking for help and happy to have suggestions.
Right. Ryan had talked about playing with some different tools. I've experimented with some project management tools too. We really rely the most on Google Docs and an ongoing Skype chat.
Lots of them.
That's right. And and we're continuing to work on our abilities to set milestones and follow up and make sure that everything gets done, and it's a challenge. I've probably learned more about project management, and I don't know. I mean, K12 Online has a lot of ways that it can benefit us, and certainly being involved in helping organize the conference is an education unto itself. I'll also say it is wonderful. I mean, the relationships that we develop over time as we're working on this, are wonderful. We're working with passionate folks that really care about this, and so it's good. Other questions that we've seen, or if you all want to pose these in the Titan Pad. If you're not seeing the Titan Pad update, I did have to refresh my page. So
there's a question for about presenters. Would it help for presentations to be in YouTube with the presenter cleaning up closed captioning ahead of time. So we do need, I'm just thinking about that, we do need the presentations to be on our K12 Online YouTube channel. So for that reason, we usually upload, well, we always upload those rather than having presenters upload them. But I do think, you know, if presentations come in on schedule, we like to get those up early. And if someone is interested in helping closed caption either their own or other presentations, we would certainly prioritize those and be happy to have help with those. So I hope that answered the question on that.
And there might be some other possibilities. At our school, we've just started to take advantage of this YouTube where you can have multiple managers on a channel and you can invite people to share a channel. So that may be something that we explore. But yeah, I think the closed captioning and that kind of stuff doesn't require, you know, direct management of the channel. But it is important that we don't publish our videos in advance. We create immediacy and excitement with the conference by waiting until the announcement date. So even if you do, you know, complete your presentation very early, we won't unveil it, and we will encourage you not to unveil it either, you know, until it's actually up there on the website. There are some different places things are cross-posted, and we're not all about the metrics and you know, we've posted things in different places, but we do try to, you know, now have everything, like Karen said, on the K12 channel. Any other questions that you wanna pose? I see we are at the top of the hour, so we don't want to keep people too long, but we certainly could answer any more questions if you'd want to toss anything else our way.
And I'll just say for people who are watching later, or if you have questions later, please feel free to contact us anytime. You can ping us on Twitter or post something on our Facebook page or our G+ community. My email I put in the chat, but it's Karen@K12opened.com, and I'm happy to answer questions or route you to someone who can answer questions.
Okay. Well, we can go ahead and go to that next step slide, I guess, and we'll wrap this up. So we hope that you will be involved in K12 Online, not only as a viewer and as a participant in, you know, benefiting from the ideas and expertise shared, but as a volunteer, advocating and helping market and let others know in your area, you know, but getting involved in helping to make the conference better. Peggy had a good point that I'll raise here, that, you know, we'd love feedback on how to get more student voices into our conference. You know, we've talked about accessibility tonight. There's several different issues, and all of this can be better, you know, with more participation and with more help. So please add your name and information to the Titan Pad. We also have a link, and we'll make sure we've got that on there too, to a Google form where you can indicate interest. And on our K12 Online page, when you just click the About link, we've got links to us as organizers. You can reach out to us via Twitter or via email, and we appreciate those of you that have tuned in live, and hope, you know, that there'll be many more folks that will watch this archive, and look forward to your contributions and ideas, and your sharing not only of your time but your passion for how we can help improve educational opportunities for students everywhere, and that's what we're passionate about. So any other closing thoughts, Karen?
No, I'm just seeing lots of enthusiasm in the chat and ideas for how we can get the word out, and ideas for topics, and just make sure you, if you don't already, make sure you follow us somewhere on social media or subscribe to our blog and email us so we can use your great ideas and make the conference even better.
Yep, and just like we're talking, you know, I see talking about TCA in February, getting out a flyer, you know, earlier. We may not know. Well, we probably need to know our strands, but I don't know. I mean, that with some of these big state conferences, it really might be good to have, you know, some materials. Karen, will this side chat be archived as well, or will it just
Yes, it will.
side? It all will. Yeah, awesome. Well, Peggy, any closing parting thoughts? Usually we ask for a joke, and we're not going to put anybody on the spot. Any
Well,
closing thoughts?
that was a nice setup. I don't I don't have a joke, but I just want to say I am so excited about the conference, and having the participation in the chat has made me even more excited. It is so great to see the interest. I know you're going to go out and help us spread the word, and you're going to continue thinking about this. And I also think many of us are involved with ed camps around the country, and I think that that would be a great place to spread the word and the concept. You know, share the ideas for professional development at an ed camp conversation. And I think that people would love to know about it, and many of them don't. So I have Ed Camp Phoenix coming up in the end of February, and I definitely plan to be sharing it there, and I hope the rest of you will do that too. So thanks for joining us.
Awesome. Susan, the mic is yours.
Just also very excited about how things have gone. I'd love to see so many people enthusiastic about volunteering. And please tell people you know who might be interested to either watch this video or fill in the form, and we're open to many more volunteers.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you all so much, and I think I'm off to run the carpool. So have a good night wherever you happen to be for a day.
And stay warm.
That's right. Stay warm, stay curious, stay connected. There you go.